In this video, we go through the entire Facebook ad campaign setup process. Grab some popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's going to be a long one. We're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to create a campaign. The reason for this is so that I can talk you through all the points so that you know what you can do in meta ads, but more importantly, what you can't do in meta ads, so that you don't overpromise something that possibly isn't there. So when you start off your campaign, the first thing you need to do is choose the buying type. So you have auction and reservation. Reservation is more of you are buying ad space across the Meta platforms, and you have to reserve a specific price, and then Meta will spend that price. This is used for awareness. So typically, I wouldn't even bother with that unless you have an e-commerce site and you are launching a new product. We could go with auction. It's the simplest, and someone did mention obviously the time frame. So it's kind of last minute in terms of the way that things work. So this is probably the quicker option as well. Then we have our different campaign types. So they are quite self-explanatory, but if you hover over them, it shows you what they're good for. So here you can see it's good for reach awareness, video views, and store location awareness. Then you have traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Looking at the type of business that you guys have, awareness and traffic would make the most sense. Typically, this is what you would call a top of funnel advertising strategy. And it really does work if your website is set up in a way to manage the traffic correctly. So if you are trying to get signups on your website and your website is set up so that your conversion rate is, let's say, 3%, then the more traffic you send to your website is not really going to affect that conversion rate. So you can send 100 people and get 3 conversions, or you can send 100,000 and get 3,000 conversion. Obviously, that's down to how your website has been set up. Engagement is all post related. The only time you would choose this is if, let's say, you have a post that is doing really well, an organic post that's doing really well, whether it's a video, the Women's Day reel that you're going to be posting. If that's doing really well in terms of engagement, people are commenting on it, then you would use this to push that out as far as possible. The reason for that is that you want to create an audience of interested people that you can then retarget at a later stage. So you would choose this with the intent of having an audience creation that you're going to be retargeting. You wouldn't choose it to get more likes or to get more comments, because there's technically no benefit to having more likes and comments if you're going to be paying for the ad to reach those people. The end goal is to have an audience that you can then retarget with ads, promotions, whatever else you have coming up later on. Then we have leads. So this will populate a form on the Meta platforms where their data will be pre-filled. So it will have their name, their email address that they use to sign in, their phone number in some cases as well. So all they need to do is click submit. Now, this is really good for getting leads, but the question you have to ask yourself is, are the leads good enough? Or I can't think of the word right now, apologies, but are they strong enough for you to actually use them in the correct way? Typically, you get a lot of leads that are not great through this because it's very easy for someone to submit a lead form. They just click on submit lead form and then submit. Whereas it's more credible if someone goes onto your website and fills out a lead form on your site, because then you also have that data on your website, which you can then use to retarget them on other platforms like LinkedIn, through Google, YouTube, and so on. So it is good, but the leads are not as credible as they would be if someone went to your site to fill out a lead form. Then if you have an app, you can promote your app. And then if you want to get sales, if you have an e-commerce site or you have a store on Facebook, you can then use sales to do that. For this example, I'm going to go with traffic because traffic offers all the options, and then we'll go through the lead form setup as well just at the end. But traffic gives you all the options of the other ones, the other campaign types. Okay, choose a campaign setup. So recommended settings or manual traffic. Recommended settings, this is going to use what Meta calls Advantage Plus. Advantage Plus is their way of saying AI or artificial intelligence. And it's Meta is going to use basically AI to decide what settings work best for your goals. It is very new. So you do sometimes take a gamble when you choose recommended settings. What I would recommend, as someone who's been doing this for a very long time, is to choose one of each. So you have one campaign that runs manual and one that runs with the recommended settings using Advantage Plus. And what you're going to do is manually A/B test between the different campaign types to see which one works better in your favor. Because in some cases, it works really nicely for businesses using AI. In other cases, it doesn't really understand the business and then it gets the settings incorrect. So definitely try both early on and see which one works best for you. Okay, but we're going to go with manual so I can explain everything. Okay, so this is the setup over here where you have your campaign at the top, which is where you select your campaign type, your ad set, where you put in all your settings, and then your ad, where is what people are going to see. So firstly, give your campaign a recognizable name. I like to put in as much information as possible because if you look on the side here, if you have all of your campaigns laid out, when you have a quick look at it, you need to know exactly what you're spending money on rather than having to open it up and go through the settings and try and figure out what it is spending money on. So put in your target location. So if it's Northern Ireland, the campaign type would be traffic. You can even put in how much budget you've allocated to this. So if it's like 500 for the month and if it's for February. So just so that at a glance, you know exactly what it is that you're advertising. Obviously here you would put the name of what you're advertising. Then you have your special ad categories. If you're advertising credit, employment, housing, or social issues, elections, or politics, you do need to tick this. And in most of these cases, you need to submit proof of identity. The reason is that Facebook will put a declaration at the bottom of the ad to say this was posted by this person at this company, just so that there is a follow-up if you post fake news for elections, for example, if the housing isn't an actual house, if it is a scam, it's just to avoid that. But you must also note that when you have these selected, you are limited in terms of targeting. So for employment, you're not allowed to select any sort of demographics that may be considered discriminatory. Just Facebook's way of being fair to everyone. We have an A/B test option here. With an A/B test option, it is kind of, you can use your own discretion. Personally, I like to manually A/B test, which means I'd set up 2 equal campaigns and share the budget equally so that they both have a fair shot at getting results. Whereas with this A/B test, Facebook will decide when to switch the budget, when to show which ad. And it is a lot more technical, but you have no control over when that ad gets shown. So personally, I find maybe it's not fair against one ad. So rather set up 2 manual campaigns and then go from there. And then lastly, we have the Advantage campaign budget. What you don't want to do is set a budget at the campaign level. The reason for this is that you have no control over where your budget gets spent. Again, we want to have as much control as possible when we are setting up a manual campaign. So if I turn this on, I can set a daily budget or a lifetime budget at the campaign level. So all of my ad sets, which may have different locations, different target audiences, are sharing the same budget. And if you have one target audience that is more involved on Facebook than the other, they will definitely take more of the budget, which means the other ad set won't have a fair shot once again. So you want to ensure that you are setting this at ad set level. Okay, so that's all you need to do at the campaign level is basically just give the campaign a name. Okay, the same thing goes for the ad set. So give the ad set a recognizable name and then choose the conversion location. So because we've chosen traffic, it's given us all these options. What you'll find is if you choose sales, it will only give you website and your Facebook shop. If you choose reach, it won't give you any of these because, awareness. If you choose awareness, it won't give you any of these options because it's just going to show the ad to as many people as possible. So with this, we want to select where we want people to convert. So whether it be on the website or whether it be on an app, if you want people to send you a message on Messenger, on your Instagram profile, if you want to advertise your Instagram profile, or if you want to get calls to your business. So probably the best option is website because your website should be set up for getting the conversions that you're advertising for. Okay, performance goal, maximize number of link clicks, maximize number of landing page views. Personally, choose between these two. Landing page views means someone actually lands on your page and performs an action, whether that is a scroll, whether that's a click, that is considered a landing page view because they've actually taken an action. Whereas with clicks, they will click and before your website's even loaded, it's counted it as a conversion. So this is great for early on when you want to just get as much traffic as possible. If you look down here, the estimated daily results. So we've got 419 link clicks, but if I change it to landing page views, it's 194. So there's almost 300 people there that didn't actually view the landing page. Well, obviously an estimate. So this is more credible, but it reaches less people. This drives more traffic, so you'll get better awareness results. And then we have other goals here, but these typically just waste money, if I'm being completely honest. So maximize daily unique reach. That means it's going to reach as many people per day. So I will only see it once a day, but you'll get a lot of people seeing it once a day. Maximize number of conversations. This is people that are going to be sending you messages or they're going to be commenting on it. So it's going to try and show it to people who are most likely to comment on an ad based on their past history of seeing ads. So once again, not very credible. And then lastly is the number of impressions. This one is the number of times it gets shown in a day. So I might see the ad 5 times in a day, but that will still count as 5 impressions. Once again, wasting money because there is no sort of end goal in that case. Okay, dynamic creatives. This will allow you to have multiple different creative types, and Facebook will go through the different variations to find the one that works the best. And the one that does work the best, it will show that one more often. So you can switch this on if you are doing an A/B test, if you are trying different images, if you're trying multiple headlines and you don't know which one will work better, you can add dynamic creative, and then this will allow Facebook to give you the best option for that. Then we have our budget and schedule. So we have a daily budget and a lifetime budget. Now, there are 2 different uses to this. With a daily budget, it's going to spend this amount per day. The problem that lies with that is that, let's say no one clicked on your ad or no one saw your ad throughout the day. It will get to about 10 p.m. at night, and you'll find that uh, excuse me, Facebook will just start showing the ad constantly in the top right corner, and it will basically ensure that it spends that money, even though uh, it's not really the most relevant audience, because maybe showing an ad at 12 p.m. is not the audience that you're trying to target. So a daily budget is good for early on advertising. If you are doing awareness, it's great to have daily budgets set, because then you can reach as many people as possible. However, my recommendation is to choose a lifetime budget as often as possible, because what will happen here is 350 will be spent before your end date. So if Facebook doesn't find your audience today and it only manages to spend £10 today, tomorrow it knows it has £30 to spend to try and find the right audience. So it almost accumulates over time. So it'll have a lower reach early on, but towards the end of the campaign, the reach that it's getting will be a lot more credible, and it will be in the target audience rather than a daily budget where Facebook's just trying to spend your budget every single day. Okay. Okay, you can set a start date and an end date. Then we have budget scheduling. So you can try budget scheduling. And what this will do is you will tell Facebook, I want to increase my budget at certain times of the day. In your line of work, possibly I wouldn't recommend this. This is more for an e-commerce where a lot of people are purchasing at lunchtime. A lot of people are purchasing at around 8 p.m., 7 to 8 p.m. at night when they've just got home from work. That's when you want to increase your budget to show up a lot more during those peak hours. Whereas if it's just simple signups or website traffic that you're looking for, something like this isn't really relevant, because you can show ads throughout the day. But you obviously you are welcome to try it if you want to. Okay, then we have audience controls. So we have our location, which we can select a location as small as a postal code, I believe. But if we go to something like Belfast, we can select it, and then we can select a radius around Belfast. The lowest is 17 kilometers radius, and we can then increase it to 80 kilometers if we wanted to. For you guys, obviously, it would be I don't see it.
In London there.
Yeah, mate.
The choice. Terence, I think, has been in Ireland maybe 2 or 3 years. He's still a wee bit of local history to pick up on. We didn't go into the we didn't go back 20 years. Said what to do.
Okay, so as you can see there, I couldn't find it for some reason. So what I can do is I can drop a pin. So if I just click on this button here and then just drop it there, and then it works pretty much the same way.
I'd say,
so there's
Terence, for
always
us, sorry, Terence. I was going to say, for us, we'd probably focus on maybe putting in postcodes, UK postcodes or things like that, because obviously we might not want to reach too many people in the Republic versus obviously Northern Ireland. But depending on the campaign, if it's for an event, we probably do. So yeah, we'll probably want some options to limit as well. But sorry, I'll mute. I have a few questions and notes that we'll hit, and I'm sure the team are. And please do shout. I know Terence will be like me. He'd welcome breaks from going through this. And I was going to suggest as well, we will, when we take a break, we'll have a look at the make sure we've got the access to the accounts, and we'll go in, and then when you come back from the break, we can actually look through your actual ads. But I'll stop talking now.
Cool. So basically, to answer your question there, Kieran, on locations, because understandably here you are reaching into the Republic, which may be not necessarily necessary for you guys in certain campaigns that you're running. So you can also just do something like Northern Ireland, and then that will select, instead of a radius, that will select the whole location of Northern Ireland. So it will follow the border. And then you can also exclude. So if you want to add an exclusion, for some reason I don't want to target people in Belfast when I'm targeting Northern Ireland, then I can also have that as an option. So I'm going to be targeting everyone over here now. Okay, so that's just some things you can do with location targeting. Then we have the age range. So minimum age 18. You can't go lower than that, but realistically, you got to think about who your target audience is. Now, if I wanted to target 18-year-olds or people who have just left school, obviously that makes sense. But if I'm selling a product, for example, then I might go up to something like 25, where I know people have their own money that they are able to spend, depending on obviously what my product is. So even though it is just simple ages, you do want to take into consideration what the end goal is. Even though you get that reach with a younger audience, the minimum age range is important. Okay. Then if you have, sorry. Okay, then down here we have Advantage Plus audience. So if we don't do anything, if we just leave it as it is, Facebook will target an audience based off our page's audience. So it will take into consideration who's liked our page, who engages with our page, and it will target people in that similar demographic. Now, we can switch to original audiences, which allows us to target audiences based on their demographics and the way that we set things. When we do this, we are able to use a saved audience, which I will go through and show you how to create an audience as soon as I'm done setting up the campaign. Okay, we will just select it from there when it does load. And then you can also have custom audiences. So we don't have any custom, oh, we do, there we go. This is where you would get your remarketing audiences or your lookalike audiences. So we will go into audiences and go through that whole process after we're done here. Then we move on to the ages again, because we've switched it to the original targeting and not the Advantage Plus. And here we have a maximum age. Now, the thing with 65 plus is I know a man who is in his 90s and he is using Facebook. So that is 65 to 95 is a 30-year age group that are hopefully retired and are spending their whole day on Facebook, clicking on ads that maybe they don't know are ads. What this does is unfortunately waste your budget. So my recommendation to you, and I recommend this to everyone that I give trainings to, is you set your maximum age at 64, and then you create a separate campaign with a separate budget for 65 plus. So what that's going to do is everyone over 65 is going to see that separate one, and you're going to have dedicated budget for them. It is very likely that if you go into the insights, you'll see that your most engaged audience is going to be around 25, 35, and then it's going to be 65 plus. Okay, we can also target specific genders if that is necessary. And then down here, we can target demographics, interests, or behaviors. You can search if you know what you're searching for, but otherwise you can browse, which is always a nice option. And you can browse through the different demographics. So if you want to target people based on their education, their financial situation, life events, parents, so parents of 12 months, parents with adult children, preschoolers, teens.
Parents, how do they identify people like that within those particular segments?
I thought that was my internet. There we go. So no, very good. I was panicking there. So no, totally. It's so Oh, Terence, yeah, so you come back in a sec. So it's what you add to your profile when you create it. That's where they get the demographics, but they also then are looking at your activity, what you're doing. And again, back to your permissions. So some people, if you look at your mobile phone, some people will have given Facebook access to what's on their phone. So some of the apps that you've downloaded will have Facebook tracking data in it, and it'll be gathering all of that as well. So it's what you put into this, and then what they glean from your mobile phone. Facebook is one of the biggest revenue generations for Facebook is them selling your data to the credit agencies. So the credit agencies buy their data from Facebook as well, and but the demographics of what you do and who you are, because even you might tell Facebook something, but actually it'll see other behavior and it will still group you into a different segment. So like there's no doubt, I'm sure, for example, if someone creates a profile, if a child creates a profile and then their activity is similar to other children, then Facebook knows that they're really a child, but they don't take any action on that. Sorry, Terence. Yeah, we're seeing whose internet went. So we're just talking about how Facebook knows about your data and how it knows who is really who.
Yeah. So in the most basic case that Facebook uses to explain, and sorry for dropping off there, I'm hotspotting from our phone and I got a phone call that came through. So it kicked me off. But the way that Facebook explains it, and I know what Kieran has said, and it is most likely true, that it is tracking other apps, unfortunately. But Facebook explains it as the information that you give Facebook. So when you set up your Facebook profile, obviously you have to put in your age, you can put your current relationship status. Are you married to so and so, and you tag them. You can put in the place that you work. You can put in you can add your family members as well. So you're actually giving Facebook a lot of information without even knowing already. Education, so you can see what school you can put in, what school you went to, what college you went to. So it claims it has all that information from there, but I know a lot of people don't do that. So unfortunately, they have to go to other routes of tracking other apps, but Facebook will never tell you that. Cool. Then interests. So these are the things that you engage with on Facebook. If you don't engage with anything, it will look at your friends and it will see which friends you added first. What are they engaging with? Which friends do you talk to the most, or who are you the closest with? And then what are they engaging with? So even if you don't show any interest on Facebook, you will still see ads and you will still be lumped into certain groups because of the people you hang out with. So that's where they get the interest information from. So for us, we can target people based off their interests. We can target are they interested in business and industry, so advertising, architecture, aviation. If I follow British Airways, I might see an ad related to aviation. And then lastly is the behaviors. So we have a couple different behaviors. So there's anniversary. Is your anniversary coming up? If I select this, let's say I'm selling jewelry, I would select this, and then anyone whose anniversary is coming up in the next couple months, they will see my ad, and then they will then purchase that. Then we have mobile device user. So you can actually select sorry, there we go. So you can select what type of phone. So are they using an iPhone 14? Are they using a different device? Generally, you can select the device. I think that's a bit further down. Here we go. So Android, all mobile devices, featured phones, tablets, network connections. So is it 2G, 3G, 4G? Are they accessing Facebook through Wi-Fi? So it is quite in-depth in terms of who you want to target. So when it comes to selecting an audience to target, what do you do? My best advice is to firstly look at the demographics that you know interact with your business. So you start with the age range, and then you go with the interests or behaviors that you offer as a service. What you'll be able to do then is look at the reports and see what else people are interacting with. Then you can branch out and start targeting other things. So it is sort of a step-by-step process where you've got to do one thing first, get the results, then do the next, get the results. Unless you want to just make a gamble and say, okay, we only want to target people using iPhones. You can obviously do that. But all the information is here for you. So what I would recommend is whoever is setting up the campaign, go through each one of these and make a note of something that fits your business. So travel, are you targeting people who commute to work every single day? Are you targeting people who travel internationally quite often? These are the kind of things you want to note down and say, okay, well, we can potentially use this as an audience. Okay. And then you select that, select your audience, and then you let it run. And obviously you can make changes. You can make changes as the campaign goes on. So once your campaign is set up and your audience is selected and it's running, you can come in and actually remove or add new audiences to it without it affecting the performance of the campaign. One thing I do want to point out is the audience definition on the side here. So the current estimated audience size, because we have selected the whole of Northern Ireland, but we've excluded Belfast, is 327,000 people. Okay. Once I enter in a specific demographic, that's obviously going to go down. And if it becomes too specific, it will land up in the red. If it becomes too broad, it will go into the yellow. And what you'll see is your results will change quite a lot. What we want to do here, with you guys, it might be a little bit different because you're obviously a little bit bigger than some of the clients that we have. But typically, I recommend your audience size be around 100,000. Okay, because Facebook only shows your ad to about 10 to 15% of that estimated audience size. So with 100,000, you know that it is specific enough to get the target audience that you are looking for. With this, it's going to show it to someone who's going to see your ad once and possibly never recall it and never see it again. What that's done is unfortunately wasted your money, which we don't want to do. So for you guys, I might say 300,000 is okay, but typically we would try and aim for this lower number to be 100,000, just so that we can be a little bit more specific and obviously control where our money is getting spent. Okay, so that's audiences. Is there any questions on audiences? Because I know this is quite a big thing over here.
Yeah, just the fact that kind of Facebook takes your data and kind of, like I don't remember whenever I signed up to Facebook that, I agreed for their data to kind of go to third party, for example, and they just kind of throw it out there, which kind of makes me feel uncomfortable as a user.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fantastic for, an advertiser's point of view because you can be really targeted and you can kind of drill down, but yeah, it's scary.
yeah, that's why they had that big lawsuit with Mark Zuckerberg. Because in the terms and conditions, they worded it in such a way that they were allowed to do it for, I think it was educational purposes, which is why they gave it to the University of Cambridge, I think it was. But yeah, it is a bit intrusive, but the scary thing is, and don't take this the wrong way, but all of your apps are doing it. So they've all connected. When you sign up to the terms and conditions, they're all doing it, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter even. So it is kind of scary. The way I see it though is you're getting better ads at the end of the day, more relevant ads. And if you interact with them, you interact with them. If you don't, you don't. Yeah. But yes, it can be scary.
Oh yeah, just to echo that, Terence, totally. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about our session on the marketing tools in person as well. But no, it's really scary, to be honest. We'd have a few clients and companies that would be concerned, but basically, just to echo it, once you're using a platform for free, the the price that you're paying really is your data. And even if you think of Google Maps, how much tracking it's doing, if you're looking at the live feed on traffic and travel, how long it's going to get somewhere. The reason it knows that is because it's sending all the data from everyone's mobile phone and how fast people are moving, and that's why it knows then if you've been to a place, if you use Google Maps, for example, or leaving it, it'll pop up and ask you to write a review of it. So as Terence says, everything is intertwined, and they're all using all this data. It really is. It's very interesting. That'll be a debate we'll have for sure face to face.
Just on that segment, Terence, what would you recommend whenever your target audience has a very broad mix of interests and kind of behaviors? Like, I know personally, like, I would do a lot on the kind of recycling end of things for district residents, so our target audience is everyone in the district basically who has a bin. So it's very broad. I'm just wondering, I mean, do you just like let Facebook like wheel away with that? Or I mean, what would you recommend for something like that when it's kind of
It's
just
so it's a bit it's
residents?
yeah, no. So it's a bit dangerous to just let Facebook do its own thing.
Okay.
Because they will find an audience that is interacting with it more, and they will show it to that audience more often, because the more they show the ad, the more money you spend. At the end of the day, Facebook's trying to get your money. So it's in their best interest to show the ad to people who are going to interact with it more often. So with a large audience that you are targeting, what I would start with is the services that you offer. So put in here people that are interested in whatever the service is. Now, that will allow you to have a massive audience. And what you will then do is you will look at your reporting, so ads reporting, and you will see what interests and behaviors are interacting with it more often than not. Now, in some cases, you want to actually target the audiences that are not interacting with it, because maybe they should be, because they should be using your service more often. So then you would create a second campaign only targeting those people to try and increase that sort of traffic through to your website or phone calls or signups, through to the people who are not automatically going to interact with you. You want to show yourself off more often to those people rather than the people who are the first to interact with you, because your organic traffic could kind of cover that already. So my advice is start with the services that you are offering rather than trying to target a specific demographic or a specific audience, because then this will get really, really long. And sometimes it gets even too specific when you choose too many different things. So rather just have like one service that you offer and leave it as that, and then let the campaign run and look at the reporting.
So like in there
Does
you
that
would
make sense?
like keywords like recycling bin collections. I don't know what
Yeah, or something like new homeowners. That might be an option because they've just got into the new house. They need to find a recycling bin collection service where someone who's been there for a while is already using the service.
Yeah.
So that might be an option as well. So rather keep the selection that you put in here, just try and keep it to one or two options. And it comes down to testing really. So you might even run it for like 1 or 2 weeks and then make a change straight away. You don't need to run it for months and months, because you get information straight away the next day.
And what would be an ad? What would be an ad that you, or a message that you would like to get out? Because I think this is brilliant. This is the good bit. Now we're getting into the detail. So, what would be an ad or a message that you would like to get across to say the residents of the Derry Strabane Council area?
I guess best practice messaging, but also one of the key things we're trying to push at the moment is our new app, our new recycling app, and obviously it has capability. It lets us send push notifications to district residents. We've also got pointer data on there as well, so we can target per postcode. So really, like signups to the app would probably be a key goal over the next few months.
Excellent.
The people who aren't signed up, if you've
Yeah,
got
so
the
it's those who
postcode
aren't
data,
signed
so
up
you could put
essentially.
in postcodes of the people who are not
Yeah,
using the app from if you've got all that postcode data, so you could be quite specific.
yeah, yeah.
Would you have the email address of these users?
I need to check.
Because if they sign up to the app, what you can
Yeah.
do, and we'll go through the audience creation, but you can create an audience and then exclude that audience. So basically you add all your first party data into this audience. And then if someone has an email address that matches that Facebook account or vice versa, they will not see your ad because they're already using your service. So then you'll make sure that you're only targeting people who are not using your service because you don't have their data yet.
Would you have to have permission to share or to use that data on Facebook? Or
Well, no, it'll be your first party data. So it's data that you've collected, email addresses that they've given you when they've signed up. And also you are excluding them. So
you're not really
technically you're not targeting them. So you don't actually need permission to exclude people who have given you their email addresses.
Very good. Yeah. So that's a good point. So definitely it's back to the T's and C's. I'm guessing when people sign up to use the app, they'll have accepted T's and C's, giving you permission to access or use their data. And again, as Terence saying, is that you're actually not going to use it for marketing purposes. So you're not going to market to them, which is good, but you are going to then target other people around that. But it'd be good to have a look at your T's and C's on the app just to see what you're asking people to sign up to when they download it as well.
So with
Yeah.
Facebook, they wouldn't use that data, even though those people may already have their own Facebook accounts, they wouldn't use that data in any way, even if it is their own as an exclusion.
No. Your audiences are for your use only.
Okay.
Where do you put in that data? Like, where do you put that list? of
I'll show you. I'll show you. As soon as we're just going to go through the ads and then I'll go through the audience creation. Cool. Okay. So the next thing is deciding where your ads show up. So this is placements. Once again, it's got advantage placements. So Facebook is going to decide. Realistically, we don't want to use this. And this goes back to the daily budget that I was talking about. If you look at a Facebook page, okay, I'm on the page, but if you look on your home page, there is ads that show up in the top right corner. These are ads that when I'm scrolling on Facebook personally, I don't look at. I don't even notice that they're there. So, but they are being paid for when they show up. So you want to avoid putting ads in this location. So to do that, we click on edit and we select manual. And here we can select all the different places that ads show up across the Meta platforms. So we have the typical news feeds. So the Facebook feed, the profile feed, Instagram profile, marketplace, videos. So if you're watching videos, the right column. So that's the one that I just spoke about. The explore page, the explore homepage, Facebook Messenger inbox, and Facebook Business Explorer. So if you are thinking about your specific audience, okay, before you're creating the ad, where is your audience most likely to interact with your ad? So obviously it would be on the feeds. In Marketplace, someone is looking for a product. So maybe you guys who are offering a service isn't somewhere you want to be showing an ad. So you can turn that one off. When someone is watching a video and the video stops to have a little ad run, that is important for brand awareness. So you always want to have video feeds switched on. Right column, you don't want Instagram Explore. When someone is scrolling through this, you might want this on for brand awareness purposes. Messenger, personally, I've never clicked on an ad in Messenger. I don't know if I would trust it, but unless you're looking for someone to message you straight away, then you would have this on. Otherwise, you can switch this off. as well as Business Explore. You can switch this off as well. That's just because there's not a lot of traffic going through there. But if you want to switch it on, it's the business page where people can scroll through the different businesses. So B2B marketing, you would have this switched on. Okay, so that's the different feeds. Then we have stories and reels. So stories, you always want to have Instagram stories switched on, Facebook stories, because when someone is swiping through a story, which typically is only up for 24 hours, so people are watching stories every day rather than scrolling through the Instagram feed. So it's more likely that they're going to see your ad and engage with it in the stories. Whereas with Reels, if you are using an image or if you're using an ad that looks like an ad, with Instagram and Facebook Reels, as soon as it shows up, someone can swipe away. So as soon as they realize it's an ad, they're going to swipe away from it. So the only time I would ever use Instagram and Facebook Reels is if my ad looks like it was organically created. So if it's a person speaking to the camera, if it is like a get ready with me or a dance that makes sense to be on Reels that you can then disguise as an ad, then you would turn it on. Otherwise, switch these off because someone is just going to scroll straight past it, even if it is relevant to them. Typically, people just scroll straight past the ads. Then we have in-stream ads. So the same thing goes here, but these are while the ad is playing. So if if the video is playing, then an ad will cut in between. You can't use images here because it will be 5 seconds or 15 seconds of just a static image. And that might come off negatively towards your brand. Someone would be watching a video, you interrupt them with a still image for 15 seconds. They might not like your brand after that. So what I typically do is I switch these off unless the ad is a video, something that someone can actually get some information from. Search results, you keep this on. It's really good because if someone searches something related to your business, they might be searching for the Dairy Council. You would show them an ad at this stage. So it makes sense to have search results switched on. Messages. So I've switched this off because we haven't been targeting messages. Otherwise, that would be switched on. And then lastly, apps and sites. So the apps and sites are Facebook's like sister companies or partner companies that Facebook has agreements that they can show ads on. So if Facebook is the way that Instagram is to Facebook, something an app like that allows Facebook to show ads on it, then this is where that would show up. So typically, this is not the best best data or best target audience, and you might be wasting your money with this. So I would switch these off if we are doing things like awareness or traffic to the website. Switch it off. Whereas conversions, if you're trying to get people to make a purchase on your website, then you can switch that on because in that case, you're targeting very specific demographics. And if they're on a different app, but they recognize your brand, it's likely that they are going to make a purchase. With awareness, we rather just switch it off. Another point, on that is that these placements are actually cheaper than the feed. So Facebook will tend to show it here more often so that it can say, oh, look, you got 1,000 more impressions, but technically, were those impressions credible? We don't know because it was on a different site to Facebook or Instagram. Okay, so that's how you go through and you select where your ads are going to show up. Very important that we do this because we want to make sure that our money is being spent in the right place. If we put it here on the right column, we know that 10 p.m. at night on Facebook, it's just going to show up on the right column just so that Facebook can get their money. Okay, so those are the different placements available. And if you click on more, you can also here select by devices. which is quite interesting. I don't know why they've moved it down there. As someone said earlier, that Facebook's always changing. Yeah. So they've moved now the devices down here, which is interesting. Okay, and then we can go next onto our ad. Okay, so the same thing applies here. You want to give your ad a recognizable name. So whatever it is that you're advertising, and then if it's got specific ad copy, you want to put reference to that as well if you're trying different types of ads. Select your page and your Instagram page. Select the ad setup. So will it be a manual upload or will it be a catalog? So this is coming from your Facebook shop. The format. So there are reasons and strategies behind the different formats. So a collection is a full screen mobile experience. With this, you essentially asking someone to click on your ad and then engage with your ad that you've set up. So you'll have different options available. And then after that, convert. So that's essentially turning one click to your website into 3, 4, or 5 clicks. And most likely people are not going to engage with that. As nice as it is, and it does look really futuristic the way that they've set it up, it doesn't really drive as much engagement as something like a single image or video would. Personally, I believe that the most important thing you can do with an ad is get someone onto your website. Once someone is on your website, you have that data through Google Analytics, which you can then use to target on multiple different platforms. If they engage with you just on Facebook, you can only interact with them again or retarget them again through Facebook and Instagram. So you're limiting yourself by keeping them on Facebook. So single image video, probably the best way to go. Carousel, I would choose this if you have multiple services that you want to advertise or multiple products within the same theme. So an example I always use is if you have a garden services business and your theme for the month is gardens, not hedges. So you're going to be cutting the grass, you're going to be tending to the flowers and so on. That you would put into one carousel because it is one theme. You wouldn't go and put lawn mowing, hedge trimming, tree removal. You wouldn't put that all into one because it's not likely that someone is going to see the third or fourth option. So you're actually limiting yourself in that sense. To avoid all of this, we just create single image or video, and you can have as many ads as you want within the same ad set or sharing the same ad set budget. This is what I would recommend because you can try different ads, different ad copy, different headlines, even different landing pages with each ad and see which one works best for your business. Okay. To add media, so the media is obviously the image. You can add an image or add a video. And you just select one of them. Select. And then here you can see that there are recommended sizes. Now, it is important that you use the recommended sizes because you don't want an ad showing up like this in Instagram Reels. I don't know what that is. So make sure that when you create the ad or the image, it's got a 1:1, a 9:16, and a 1.91 by 1 format. So you're basically creating 3 different formats of that. And then you can just click in replace on the one specific one and change it with the ad that actually fits. Okay, you can then click on next. And here's where Facebook tries to get fancy with their automations. And sometimes it does work, but realistically, I don't know if this is the best option. So if you already have music on your ad, you don't need music switched on. So you can switch off music because also you can't control what kind of music gets shown there. So at the moment, it's this song here. And you can change the music, but from my experience is that it does change if it's not working. They might have updated that. So, but best practice is to just switch off music if it's not relevant to your ad. Then we have relevant comments. So leave this switched on. It puts the relevant comments at the top of your ad. Makes perfect sense. The image templates, so you can adjust the fonts and colors if you want to as well. The visual touch-ups. So what this will do is it will adjust the aspect ratio to make sure that it always fits depending on what phone someone has, or if they're on their tablet, it will make sure that it fits correctly. It also adjusts the brightness and contrast, and this is actually based on how people interact with ads. So if I've only been clicking on ads that are brighter, Facebook will automatically brighten the image in your ad if it is likely that I'm going to click on it. So this actually works in your favor. Text improvements. If you are not set on Facebook taking control over the text you use, in some cases, companies choose very specific language in the way that they have their text set up. So if you don't want Facebook to change it, you can switch this off and then it will only use your text. In some cases, it moves text around if you have this switched on. Okay, add catalog items. So if you are selling items, you can add them there. That is really good if you are selling items, of course. Expand image. This is not compatible at the moment. But if you have an image that is compatible, then it will allow you to do that. 3D animations, turn this on if it is relevant, but otherwise it adds no benefit, personally, is what I've found. And then image filters, this is also good. It works the same way as the brightness and contrast. Okay, so then we can click on done. Then here we can add our primary text, which goes at the top. Now, with primary text, we want to ensure that we are covering off 3 specific things. The first thing is to ask a question. Now, the reason for this is that we want to get as much engagement as possible, because if I see an ad that has a lot of comments, whether they are positive or not, I am more likely to then add a comment, which means that the next person is going to add a comment. And what that's going to do is it's going to make your ad look a whole lot more engaging to the next person that sees it. So ask a question, add some sort of intrigue where someone actually stops and says, okay, well, is that relevant to me? Do I know the answer to that question? Am I going to click on this ad to find out what the answer is to the question? So when you do that, you're pushing for engagement. The next thing you want to do is tell a certain stat, a statistic about your business that is relevant, that promotes what you are advertising. So if you say, we are the greatest agency in the world, okay, that's basically gets someone to say, read the question, are you interested? They're the greatest agency in the world. Okay, well, let's go see if they actually are, or let's go find out more about them. You are putting in a statistic where it basically encourages the person that when they go to your website, when they utilize your service, they are getting the value that the click of the ad is actually going to give them, rather than, am I going to click on this ad and go nowhere? And then lastly, very simple, is a call to action. Okay, so the call to action, you need this because no one's going to do anything unless you tell them to do it. So if they go onto your website and they say, okay, that's cool, then they can click off. But if you said sign up on our website, they go onto the website with the intention of looking for a sign up, trying to sign up, buying a ticket to an event or something like that, because you've told them to do that. If you don't, they won't do it. Or just assume to yourself that they won't do it. Okay, and then Facebook does give a couple of suggestions here. Where it gets this from is what you've typed in here, but also based on your other ads that you have run. So it will actually learn about your business the more ads that you are running, and it will give you suggestions that make more sense, because in some cases maybe it doesn't really make sense to the language that your business or your company is used to using. So this will give you a suggestion based off the ads that you've run in the past. Okay, then we have a headline. So once again, suggestions. But here you can say, I'm just going to say this as the headline. Okay, and you'll see the headline comes up over here. What I typically do here is I reiterate the call to action in the headline. So sign up, book now, even though it's there on the button, you can basically point to it. Because what happens is someone always looks here first, then they will read up here, and then they will come down here. So they might not even see what the button says. So basically you'll say, click the button to sign up, or visit our website by clicking the button. That's what you would use a headline for. I know they call it a headline, and you would assume it to be the most important. But in this case, the way that it is formatted, it's maybe best to use the call to action in this section. We then have a description. This is optional. You do not need to add a description, but this is this bottom section down here. So if you have something like save 50%, basically like an add-on or something that about your business or this ad, the reason you're running this ad, recycle. I know that's what recycle. Okay, so something like that. It just basically adds some depth to the ad. It is optional. You do not need to choose add a description. Then you have a call to action. This is the button, and you need to select from the options. So there are quite a few options. And funny enough, it does actually make a difference. So one of my clients was running ads, and they had book now as their option. And what they were doing okay, but they wanted to do slightly better. So what we did is we changed the call to action to get started, get offer. Because and what happened is that they actually saw an increase of 30% in bookings just within the next month. And the reason is that book now almost like sounded like I was going to give you work to do. So if you go book now, you have to go onto the site and do work, which people weren't doing. But get offer, in this case, someone felt like they were getting something rather than having to do work. So just a simple change like that actually drove more people to click on the button because of the way that it was presented to them, rather than what works best for your company. Okay, then we have the destination, where you can send them to an instant experience, which is, it basically opens up on your phone with different options. It's like a mini website that you would have to build out. Or you can send them straight to your website. What you want to do is never send someone to your homepage unless it is completely relevant. Rather have a page dedicated to the ad. So if it's a sign-up form, if it's information that people need, the page that you send them to could almost be built out as a separate landing page, so that when they land on your site, they get exactly what they were expecting, rather than them having to navigate through your website, which we need to assume that all of the people coming to our website are lazy and don't want to be there. And so we need to kind of hold their hand through it. So having a landing page dedicated to the ad makes it a lot easier for someone to land on the page, sign up, and then they can leave the site after that, because they've already converted. Okay, there are other options here. So you can add a call or WhatsApp option if you want people to communicate with you. You can send them to a Facebook event if you are running an event on Facebook. When they click on the ad, they'll go to the event, or they can make a phone call, which will put your number in over there. You can have multiple different languages. So you can add a language, and what this will do is whatever the person's language is set on Facebook, it will show it in that language. So this is great because you can advertise to people who speak different languages in the same location. And it basically allows you to reach a whole demographic that you wouldn't typically reach because not everyone speaks English. So if you wanted to branch out to, let's see, Spain for some reason, you can then have ads that are running in Spanish and in English. So to do that, the default language, you would just put in English. Okay, and then you can add all your different languages here. So whichever one you want to choose, let's just go with Dutch. And then you would enter in your Dutch headline over here and your primary text and your description. You can get it to translate, and it does work really well. What I've found that it makes more sense to translate it using Google Translate or an actual translator that speaks the language, rather than using the Facebook auto translate. And you want to translate each sentence on its own rather than translate, if you're using Google Translate, rather than translating the whole paragraph. Don't know why, just found that that works a little bit better than if you were to translate the whole thing as one big paragraph. Close. Okay, and then the last thing you need to do is select your pixel. So this is your tracking. So when you have tracking set up on your website, you can then select that pixel, and then that pixel will then pick up all the actions that take place on your website. So if you are, if someone goes onto your site but doesn't sign up, you then have that differentiating data where you can then retarget all the people that have visited your site but haven't actually signed up yet. And obviously that's what we will get onto next when we go into audiences.